Sevajare Mentuhotep, also known as Mentuhotep V or Mentuhotep VI, depending on the scholar, is a poorly attested Egyptian pharaoh of the late 13th dynasty who reigned for a short time, circa 1655 BC, during the Second Intermediate Period. The Egyptologists Kim Ryholt and Darrell Baker respectively believe that he was the 50th and 49th king of the dynasty, thereby making him Mentuhotep V. Thus, Sevajare Mentuhotep most likely reigned shortly before the arrival of Hyksos over the Memphite region and concurrently with the last rulers of the 14th dynasty. Ryholt, Baker and Jacques Kiner refer to Sevajare Mentuhotep as Mentuhotep V because they believe that he lived at the very end of the 13th dynasty. On the other hand, in his studies of the Second Intermediate Period, Jurgen van Beckerath leaves Sevajare Mentuhotep's position within the 13th dynasty completely undetermined, but names him Mentuhotep VI nonetheless. Sevajare Mentuhotep is a poorly attested pharaoh. Unfortunately, the Turin canon is severely damaged after the record of Sobekotep VII, and the identity and chronological order of the last 19th kings of the 13th dynasty are impossible to ascertain from the document. Mentuhotep's prenomen Sevajare is nonetheless partially preserved on column 8, line 20 of the papyrus. The only contemporary attestation safely attributable to Sevajare Mentuhotep V is a single fragment of a relief showing his cartouches. The relief was found in the ruins of the mortuary temple of Mentuhotep II during the excavation of the beginning of the 20th century. Coffin of Heru Nefer. Another possible attestation of Sevajare Mentuhotep V is given by a fragment of a wooden coffin, now in the British Museum. The coffin bears the following text: "The patrician royal representative, eldest king's son, the senior commander Heru Nefer, true of voice, who was begotten by King Mentuhotep, true of voice, and born by the senior queen Sitmut." The prenomen of the king Mentuhotep is missing, and the identification of this Mentuhotep remains problematic. Kim Ryholt notes, however, that the coffin is also inscribed with an early version of passages of the Book of the Dead, which is one of only two pre-New Kingdom inscriptions of this text. Thus, Ryholt argues that this Mentuhotep must have reigned during the late Second Intermediate Period. Thus, three kings could possibly be the one mentioned on the coffin: Senkanre Mentuhotepi, Meranke Mentuhotep VI, and Sevajare Mentuhotep. Although it sounds similar to Mentuhotep, Ryholt has shown that Mentuhotepi is a different name than Mentuhotep and would therefore not have been reported as Mentuhotep. To decide between the two remaining kings, Ryholt notes that the other instance of the Book of the Dead is found on the coffin of Queen Mentuhotep, wife of Jehuti, the second pharaoh of the 16th dynasty who reigned circa 1645 BC. In this case, the text is almost identical to that found of Heru Nefer's coffin, which argues for a close proximity in time between the two. While Sevajare Mentuhotep reigned circa 10 years before Jehuti, Meranke Mentuhotep is believed to have reigned 60 years after him. Hence, Ryholt concludes that Sevajare Mentuhotep is the Mentuhotep of the coffin, Sitmut his queen, and Heru Nefer his son. This identification is far from certain.